Your favorite collectible may look perfect today, but what if the way you're displaying it is quietly destroying it? All right, let's see how sharp you really are. 10 questions, no hints, no second chances. I'll give you the statement. You decide, fact or fiction? Think fast, trust your instincts, and keep score, because sunlight, display cases, LEDs, and UV protection are not always what they seem. Ready? Let's test your collector knowledge. Question 1. Here's your first statement. Direct sunlight can permanently fade a collectible even when it is protected behind ordinary window glass. The answer is fact. Ordinary window glass can block a significant portion of some ultraviolet radiation, but it does not necessarily block all damaging wavelengths. Visible light can also contribute to fading and other photochemical changes. Trading cards, comic book covers, posters, photographs, autographs, textiles, packaging, and painted objects can all be vulnerable. A collectible displayed near a sunny window may receive intense radiation for several hours every day. The change can happen so gradually that you do not notice it until you compare the exposed item with a protected section or with another copy. Why does this matter? Because once the original color has faded, simply removing the collectible from the window will not bring that color back. Question 2. Next statement. UV damage only affects paper collectibles. The answer is fiction. This sounds believable, but it's not accurate. Paper collectibles are highly vulnerable, but UV and light exposure can affect many other materials. Fabric can lose color and weaken. Plastic can yellow, become brittle, crack, or change appearance. Paint, ink, dyes, adhesives, photographs, leather, wood, and certain synthetic materials may also deteriorate. Even the packaging surrounding a collectible can fade long before the item inside appears damaged. That matters because original boxes, labels, inserts, and display cards can contribute significantly to a collectible's desirability and value. Collectors should protect the entire object, not just its most obvious feature. Question 3. Let's continue. A collectible can suffer light damage without spending a single day outdoors. The answer is fact. A collectible does not need to be outdoors to experience damaging exposure. Daylight entering through windows can reach shelves, walls, display cabinets, and framed items. Some artificial light sources can also emit ultraviolet radiation, while visible light itself can contribute to fading. Distance, brightness, exposure time, the type of light source, and the sensitivity of the material all influence the risk. A framed poster across the room from a window may seem safe, but repeated exposure over months and years can add up. The safest location is not simply indoors. It is a controlled location away from direct sunlight and unnecessary light exposure. Question 4. Pay attention to this one. If a display case is labeled UV resistant, the collectible inside is completely protected from fading. The answer is fiction. UV resistant is not the same as damage proof. The actual protection depends on the material, product specifications, construction quality, condition, and the wavelengths being filtered. UV protection may reduce one major source of damage, but visible light can still contribute to fading. Light can also enter through gaps or unprotected sides, and protective films, acrylics, or filters may lose effectiveness as they age or become damaged. A protected case is useful, but it should be part of a larger preservation strategy. That includes controlling brightness, limiting exposure time, avoiding sunny windows, and periodically checking the collectible for changes. Question 5. We're halfway there. Modern LED lighting is completely harmless to collectibles. The answer is fiction. Many LEDs emit very little ultraviolet radiation compared with daylight or certain older lighting systems. That can make a carefully selected LED a better display option. But low UV does not mean zero risk. LEDs still produce visible light, and visible light can cause photochemical changes in sensitive materials. Brightness, distance, spectrum, heat management, and the number of hours the light remains on all matter. A powerful display lamp shining on one trading card every day can create unnecessary exposure, even if it is an LED. Use the lowest comfortable brightness, position lights carefully, and switch them off when the collection is not being viewed. Question 6. Let's raise the difficulty. Two collectibles made from similar materials can fade at very different rates under identical lighting. The answer is fact. Different inks, pigments, dyes, coatings, plastics, papers, and manufacturing processes can react differently to light. One red ink may remain stable while another fades rapidly. A modern reproduction could sometimes resist fading better than an older original, or the reverse could be true. Previous storage conditions also matter. One item may already have experienced years of exposure before entering your collection. This is why visual appearance alone cannot tell you exactly how light-resistant an object will be. When you do not know how sensitive an item is, the safer approach is to treat it as vulnerable. Rare, signed, historically important, and irreplaceable pieces deserve especially cautious display conditions. Question 7. This one catches people off guard. Light damage is cumulative, so many small periods of exposure can eventually produce noticeable fading. The answer is fact. Light damage generally accumulates over time. A few minutes of exposure may not create a visible change, but repeated exposure every day can build into a serious problem. Collectors often focus on brightness and forget duration, but an item displayed under moderate light for years may receive far more total exposure than an item shown under brighter light for only a short, controlled period. This is why museums manage both light levels and display time. For a private collection, simple habits can help. Close blinds when the room is not in use. Switch display lights off. Rotate sensitive pieces. And keep your most valuable originals in protective dark storage when they are not being enjoyed. Question 8. Stay focused. Rotating sensitive collectibles between display and dark storage can reduce their long-term light exposure. The answer is fact. Rotation reduces the amount of time any single item remains exposed. For example, instead of displaying the same signed comic, sports jersey, poster, or vintage toy packaging throughout the year, a collector can rotate different pieces every few weeks or months. This allows the collection to be enjoyed while reducing continuous exposure. Rotation does not repair previous damage, and it does not make bright sunlight safe. But when combined with appropriate lighting and UV filtering materials, it can slow future deterioration. You could even display a high-quality reproduction while keeping the valuable original stored safely. That may not offer exactly the same experience, but for an irreplaceable item, it can be a smart compromise. Question 9. Almost there. If you cannot see any fading with your eyes, no UV or light damage has occurred. The answer is fiction. Damage can begin before it becomes obvious. Gradual changes are difficult to notice because your eyes adjust to the object's current appearance. Exposure may also weaken paper, textiles, coatings, adhesives, or plastics without immediately producing dramatic color loss. By the time fading becomes clearly visible, the change may already be substantial. One useful technique is to take standardized reference photographs. Use consistent lighting, camera settings, distance, and color references whenever possible. Compare the images periodically, But remember that phone cameras, screens, automatic editing, and changing room light can make comparisons unreliable. For valuable pieces, professional conservation advice and proper environmental monitoring offer much stronger protection. Question 10. This is the final question, and it's the one that surprises most people. Blocking ultraviolet radiation is all a collector needs to do to prevent light-related fading. The answer is fiction. Ultraviolet radiation is highly damaging, but it is only part of the preservation problem. Visible light can also trigger fading and other chemical changes. That means an extremely bright display can remain risky even if much of its UV radiation has been filtered. Effective protection requires several layers. Reduce ultraviolet exposure. Control visible light intensity. Limit the number of hours the collectible is illuminated. Keep sensitive items away from windows. Use appropriate display materials. And place valuable originals in dark, stable storage when they are not being viewed. Most importantly, remember this. There is no universal safe exposure period for every collectible. Materials respond differently, and light-related damage is generally permanent. The objective is not to hide your entire collection forever. It is to display it intelligently so today's enjoyment does not become tomorrow's irreversible loss. All right, how did you do? Drop your score in the comments and tell us which collectible in your collection might be receiving too much light. Be honest. 8 or more? You're ahead of most collectors. Less than that? Now you know what others don't. Protecting a collection isn't only about avoiding scratches, dust, and moisture. Sometimes the greatest threat is the light you barely notice. Hit like, subscribe, and come back for the next MPC challenge. Because knowing more is how you protect what matters and stay ahead.